So one thing you might think about human nature is that we're these really rational creatures who go out into the world, try and find out what the truth is, and come up with reasons that convince ourselves that one thing is true and other things are false. And what we saw in Mercier and Sperber's work on reasoning in the last week is, in a lot of cases, that just doesn't seem to be the standard way that humans operate. Mercier and Sperber say, look, you can think about the human mind as being made up of two little subsystems, System 1 and System 2. System 1 works really quickly, it's subconscious, you're not even aware that it's running, and it does things really automatically and comes up with split-second decisions about what to believe and what to do. System 2 takes a lot of effort, and you have to really pause and consciously think through how it's working, and you're aware of how it's working. And what we saw Mercier and Sperber claim was that most of the time we're just running System 1. When we're going about our daily lives, mostly we're just on autopilot. We're letting this fast, automatic, unconscious System 1 take the wheel, decide what we're going to do and what we're going to believe. And it's only when someone like, I don't know, some annoying philosophy professor comes along and asks you, hey, stop, why are you doing that? Why do you believe that? Do you really believe that? Well, that gets you to switch into System 2 and then start trying to come up with reasons why you might be correct. Now, you might have hoped that System 2 would get you to start thinking, am I really justified in believing these things that I believe? Am I maybe wrong? But we saw that we tend to have this my side bias where we're not good at all considering reasons why we might be wrong. We're just much better at coming up with justifications of why someone else should agree with us or why we might be correct. So what Haidt is doing in the readings that I've got for our last few weeks is taking this dual systems theory, this idea that our minds have this fast automatic System 1 and the slow, deliberate, conscious System 2, and he's applying that idea to try and figure out how it is we make decisions about what's morally right and wrong and what actions we ought to take, and decide what actions to take, whether we should go someplace without a mask or whether we should get a vaccine or not, those kind of decisions. And what Haidt finds is that, the way we make moral decisions seems to be very much like the way that we make other kinds of decisions. We let that System 1, that fast automatic system, just take the wheel, and so most of the time when we make a moral judgment like, yeah, that's morally okay, or oh, that's really morally wrong, that's just the result of these really fast, quick, automatic processes, and we're not really driven by reasons. It's only when someone challenges us and says, hey, why aren't you wearing a mask, that you then switch into System 2 and try to come up with some reasons why, this is why it's morally okay for me to go around the vaccine clinic at DeVos place without wearing a mask. I didn't know I'd have a saxophone accompaniment for this video. It's kind of nice. I could get into this. So what Haidt says is that, again, exactly what you'd expect. We're driven by these fast, automatic, gut-level decisions, and then only afterwards do we come along and justify our decisions to other people. So once again, it seems like, Descartes' kind of off about human nature. We're not these folks who are in control of our thoughts and supremely rational. Instead, we're driven by these unconscious, intuitive drives. So Haidt points to a lot of psychological studies that back up this claim. Here's one that I always find just really astounding. You take a bunch of folks and split them up into two different groups, and you give each group of people the same set of questions written on a piece of paper. You give them some scenarios of talking about, people who are, stealing food from the store or having sex in various ways. And you ask them, all right, did the people in these scenarios do something morally right or something that's morally wrong? And if they did something morally wrong, how severe should their punishment be? So you ask everybody in your study these same sets of questions. you just take one group, the first group, and you have them fill out the questionnaire at a desk that's just like really dirty. It's got, drink stains on the desk, an old rotten banana peel lying out, lots of paper strewn around. In some versions, they put a stink bomb in the trash behind the desk. So that's one group. They answer the questions at this really disgusting, messy desk that's maybe in a smelly environment. And you take the other group, have them answer the same questions, but instead they're at a very clean, neat, pleasant smelling desk. Turns out the people who answer the questions in the disgusting conditions, they judge that more things are morally wrong, and they dole out way more severe punishments for the things that they think are morally wrong. Whereas the folks who fill it out in an environment that's very clean and pleasant and neat, they say that fewer things are morally wrong, and they assign much more lenient punishments, even when they do think that something is morally wrong. And that seems to be evidence for Haidt's view that what's really driving your judgment about whether something is right or wrong is not some reasoning about whether it's harming more people or not, or whether it's within somebody's rights or not, but instead whether or not you've got some gut feeling of disgust or not. Folks who are exposed to disgusting stuff, like messy stuff on the desk or foul smells behind them, they get this gross, reaction in their automatic unconscious system one, and that just causes them to judge, oh yeah, this thing I'm reading about, that must be bad. It must be morally wrong because I just feel disgusted. And then if you ask them about it later, like, well, why is this morally wrong? Well, they'll come up with some explanation about how it violates people's rights or harms people or something like that. But the real reason they judged it wrong was not because of any of that. That's just stuff they're making up to try and justify themselves to you. The real reason they think it's morally wrong is because, well, they were grossed out by the stink bomb in the trash. But they don't even know themselves that that's why they think it's morally wrong. Again, it's unconscious, fast, and automatic. So that's just one of several of the studies that Haidt takes a look at in this chapter. Take a read over. Let me know if you think that this evidence backs up his claim that our moral judgments are more driven by these reactions of disgust rather than reasoning about rights and harms and other factors that we tend to think of as being moral reasons.